Hi everyone, and welcome to another Future of Design Forum 10-minute fireside Q&A chat hosted by myself, Andy Smith of TDA Creative, the design, tech and product talent agency. I am super delighted today to be joined by Greg Dilley, who is currently the MD, Head of UX at iCapital in New York. Greg, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Andy, for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Cool. Well, look, if I wouldn't mind starting off, can you just give us a little lowdown of your kind of career today to where you are now at iCapital?
Yeah, absolutely. Started in UX back when we had weird names. I was a senior usability engineer in 2005, and since then, kind of progressed through I'm in fintech now. I was in telecom and insurance and real estate publishing. So it's kind of the beauty of UX. It's a discipline. It's not necessarily an industry only,
Certainly.
where you sit into one place. So it's given me a really broad view into the general industry of corporate America. So it's been kind of my path, and now I'm here at iCapital and leading UX here for coming up on 3 years now. So it's been a fun
Excellent.
journey.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Brilliant.
Mhm.
So let's kind of dive down to a few questions and pick your brain on some design leadership. We'll start off. What kind of key tips could you give regarding managing a remote and global design team?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, especially coming out of the pandemic, where a lot of folks were dispersed. The last place I was at, we had a team of 25 people. It was a fully remote company. Prior to the pandemic, we were in person, some remote, but we went fully remote. So we had to figure out how to be a team while we were not sitting together. Some people even in different time zones. Currently, I have people over in Portugal. So what I try to do is I encourage the team to bounce things off of each other, even digitally, and I also try to encourage folks that, like, if they're on, for example, Teams or Slack or whatever, and somebody's available, just ping them, just like reach out and build those connections, because when you're not sitting together, it's hard, and those people can start to feel detached from the team.
Yeah.
So I also have one-on-ones with each team member depending on the size of the team that I'm leading at the time, and it's not geared toward I'm going to check your work now. It's more, how are things going? How's your workload? How's your work-life balance? How's your cat? Just to
Yeah.
give them someone to talk to, because it can get lonely sometimes when you're dispersed.
Yeah.
So I think that those are ways. And then finally, um, I've done this now for, I don't know, about 8 years. Is every Friday it's a round table where each person goes and they talk about something that went well during the week and something that didn't go as well as they wanted during the week. And it's like a nice little retro at the end of the week to kind of hang your hat up and go into the weekend sort of feeling like it's off your chest, or to connect with other people. Oh, I've had that problem too. This is how I handled it. It'll get better. Don't worry. So
Yeah.
it's kind of making those connection points is really important. Otherwise, people will feel like they're completely detached.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've got a real focus there outside of the core work of keeping people feeling attached,
Yeah.
included, I guess, is the main thing.
Yeah, very much. I mean, the work is going to get done. I believe that because, we've hired the right people.
Yeah.
So it's more, how are you in outside of work, and how are your relationships with your product managers, your engineers? So
Yeah.
just touching base on things like that aren't the questions that necessarily that always get asked.
Great. Okay. Thank you for
Mhm.
that. And on a,
Yeah.
on a this is quite a big scale question, but you
Mhm.
work at a big corporation now, iCapital, and you've worked at others. Kind of common thread that, particularly when I'm there and helping build design teams, is the centralized v the decentralized model, or somewhere in between.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that from your experience so far? Pros and cons of both. Is there a right or wrong?
I mean, is there a right or wrong? Probably not. But I think that I tend to lean toward somewhere in the middle. That centralized, you'll see it in the books. The centralized partnership where we have people embedded working on teams, but they're a part of a centralized team still. So I find that it's the best of both worlds. You encourage deep kind of connection and connectivity with the product team and the engineers on the product that they're supporting, but they still are central with the team. And some of the pros and cons, I think, obviously the pros are there's more collaboration within the team. I feel like also that they feel more a part of the UX community as opposed to sort of what we were talking about before with fully remote people, kind of a UX team of one
Yeah.
out there with the product team. So I think that bringing it in there and also the consistency in the designs and the design system, you kind of can collaborate a little bit. I feel a little better when you're in that centralized
Yeah.
setup.
Yeah. But I guess allowing designers to really embed themselves in a product for a good amount of time is very advantageous to the product and the tech and the wider company.
It is. So that's the other side of it, right? So that decentralized where they are embedded, they can really become a team member, right? They know the product roadmap, they know the priorities, and they can focus very closely on that product, and get into the flow really well with that team. When they're sort of visiting, they almost feel like, in that centralized manner, they almost feel like they're an accessory to the team. It's sort of
Yeah.
when we need them, we'll bring them in as opposed to no, they're a part of the core. So there's give and
Yeah.
takes in both.
Almost feeling like more like a consultant dropping in,
Yeah.
for a part of the project. Yeah. It's a tricky
Yeah.
one, but I think that, that 50-50 model can kind of work. But again, it's all to do the demands of the company as well, right? And how that works.
100%. Yeah, yeah, and how fluid things are also because I find that in the centralized method you can share people a little bit easier because say this product is got a backlog that's very robust and it needs more help. You can pull somebody who has a little bit of availability to work on some projects there. If they were decentralized, it's a little bit harder to pull them out of that team, and
Yeah.
leverage their availability.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that. And this
Mhm.
question probably ties in a little bit with that question. What are your thoughts on elevating design with an organization? I don't want to talk about that design top table thing, but elevating design, where should design fit? And I guess this ties in a little bit with that centralized v decentralized kind of model as well.
I find that if you can partner really closely with your product manager, that even in that centralized method, you can elevate the value. And I think that believe it or not, there's still people out there who haven't worked with UX people and seen the value that we can bring to products maturity and growth. And often it's through examples and through let me show you and then once you've done the research and you show them the output of research and the design that's informed by that, I find that it opens up the teams to saying, oh, hey, I get it now. I want more of that.
Yeah.
You have to kind of break the ice with the teams, I think, and by working on that relationship with the product managers, I think that really starts to elevate UX as opposed to being they're going to shoot you a Jira ticket that says add a button to this page, and you're like, all right, I can design. I'll put a button there. I know how to use Figma.
Yeah.
To really saying like, hey, I want to talk to you about that because we have a relationship. Like,
Yeah.
why do we need a button? What are we doing? What are we solving?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Yeah.
Right. So I think it does open that up.
Yeah. So, finding those problems, solving those problems, building those relationships is going to elevate design, right? In a consistent
100%.
manner. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that. And
Sure.
in your journey so far then, up until now, lessons learned, biggest lessons learned, hindsight's a great thing. Advice for aspiring design leaders, lessons learned so far in design leadership.
Yeah, I think the biggest things that stand out for me, and I think I've been hitting on it, and you may have caught a theme, is really to build a community together that isn't just about design all the time, right? So I I I trust my team. They went through a rigorous recruiting process or validate, we validated them and vetted them in the interview process. And so you trust them,
Yeah.
let them know that you trust them, let them go, right? So I believe in an autonomy of my designers. I don't need to see everything they're producing because I trust them. And I
Yeah.
think that they produce better when they feel like I'm not looking over their shoulder. Um, and by looking over their shoulder too, I think it even slows down the process because it's like, oh, I have to see everything before it goes out.
Yeah.
That's just another checkpoint on a busy schedule that you're never gonna get all of that done quickly. So I
Interesting.
feel like trusting and valuing your team and getting out of the way is one of the most important things that I think these leaders can do. I think it really builds up the team kind of confidence and strength. You're there as a sounding board. You're there to coach and mentor as needed. Your door is always open. Make sure they're aware of that. But I'm not going to come to you and say, I need to see your design before you present it. It's just not, it's not the way I've learned that it works well.
So trust yourself to hire the right people, and then trust them to do the job.
That's exactly it.
But be there as the mentor and coach, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's so similar to parenting.
I hear you there. Right now I can hear my 3-year-old crying, so I'm not sure what I've done wrong, but I'll be out there after this call. All right. Thanks, Greg. That's really cool. And look, I always like to finish off with a little bit of a curveball. That question, can you tell us something about yourself that few people know?
I would say a few more than a few, but when I was younger, there was a movie. It was Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman. It's a set in Paterson, New Jersey, which is nearby where I lived growing up. And they filmed it right there in that school, and they needed extras to come and fill in. So I made it into a few scenes. I got to chat with Morgan Freeman one day while I was waiting for my parents to pick me up in the rain. So that was kind of a pretty cool highlight. So I
like that. I like that. I know the movie as well. How old were you at the time when you made your movie?
I was probably about 10.
Right.
Yeah. So if you look really closely, you'll see me standing out, a much younger version of me.
And how many times have you showed the kids that movie or that part of the movie?
Oh, many times. They're so tired of it. They're so tired of it. I don't even think they'd watch the movie just for that reason. They're tired of seeing that scene.
Oh, I love that. That's a good one. Yeah. Thanks, Greg. I like that. And look, thank you so much for joining us on a Q&A fireside chat. I'm sure we all appreciate it that we're watching, and it's been great. And looking forward to seeing you in future events, or one in a couple of weeks' time when I'm in New York.
Yeah, no, Andy, I really appreciate you reaching out, and this has been a lot of fun. So I hope to see you there in New York.
Cheers, Greg. Thanks so much. Chat soon.
All right.